Hello YouTube, De-bodgery here. So this is video 2 of my MTen3 Gotway teardown. I should have done this in the other video, but I just wanted to talk about the screws that hold the motor together. So these are M5, you can just see down there's a little tiny spot, a little dark spot, and they're all kind of that way. There's a little tiny bit of Loctite on them, but when I pulled all those screws out of the motor, none of them gave me any resistance. They pulled right out. You know, here's the Allen key I used, and I literally put the ball end in and went tink, and they all came loose. So there was no Loctite holding squat on them. I would have to say for that. Here is one of the hangers off the motor, or that goes the motor axle. And on that subject, I would say that the motor axle is probably gonna, hold up well enough. It's probably thick enough. I'm not worried about that. This was the only place, by the way, that actually had Loctite on it. So those nuts were held on those threads with Loctite, and they were plenty tight. So, at least they did one thing right, but they completely fucked up in every other way. These large washers, they go right up against here like this, and sit on these flats right here, this little shoulder on the shaft. So that provides a little bit of spacing behind the back side of the hanger. Because the hanger would otherwise kind of like sit right here on the face of the motor cover. So that provides some spacing in there. The hangers, I'd say, are probably decently robust. You're probably not going to break one. With the exception of, those two top holes. I mean, they have put less metal there and still put threads in material? No, they couldn't have. So anyway, yeah, there's things like that. They absolutely cut it down to the dead minimum they could get away with. And that brings me to the next thing. Let me grab a pedal here. So you will notice that, pull this up a little bit better. Yeah, there we go. So there is about, about 3/8 of an inch, probably 1.5 centimeters of space around the hanger and the pedal. And they, whoops, dropped it. They put these plastic spacers in there to fill the gap. Why didn't they just make the hanger bigger and put a washer in here instead? Because that would have made this a hell of a lot more robust. I would have preferred to have a bit more beef in my hangers. But hey, that's China. Let's cut corners any way we can. Let's make that bad boy as simple and as, or not simple, but as cheap and as slimmed down as possible. The videos that I've seen on like YouTube have a very different pedal than this. They'll have like a pattern in them, things like that. The bottom sides will look different. My little bit of standing on the wheel that I did, this was comfortable. It worked well. I don't like the fact of how weak the magnets are. So looking at a previous teardown, I saw the magnet. So there's one like right in here, and then there's another one in the side cover, which I won't show you right now. But in that other teardown, the magnets were much larger and they were neodymium, and these ones are ceramic, and they don't hold. So I've seen a lot of videos of people's MTen3s where the paddles just flop around, fall down real easy, and they do the same thing on here, which I'd have to say is annoying. All right, so let's move on a smidge more. So on these nuts, they have two letters on them, XY. But quite often with something like this, because this is, a high-stress device, you'll see some kind of a stamping on there, say like 10.9 or 12.2, something like that, which indicates its strength rating. And there's nothing on here. So I'm going to say that there's probably, some mild level of strength in these nuts, but not a lot. These are the little bars that go in those two holes right there, and they clamp around the flats on the shaft. They are some kind of a hardened steel, and you can see that the nut has marred the surface, but it hasn't gouged into it. And it's because this is pretty hard stuff. So I would say this is probably one thing to say, okay, well, good for you. At least you used some hardened steel for that rather than just totally chinsing out on that too. So there's a lot of details like this that the quality is not exactly great. Alright, so the next video I'm going to talk about electronics. And I took the battery apart.